Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to my channel. Hope you're all having a great day. Well, the fallout from the Russell Brand saga just keeps going on. Things are looking worse for him. And I mean, my basic opinion about the whole thing is, yeah, he was a pig, but he was allowed to be a pig. As more things come out, it's obvious that those around him, the networks, the BBC, the radio people, his producers, allowed him to carry on this way, and because he was the talent. I mean, nobody had any qualms about what was going on at the time. We're facing more fallout now from the whole Andrew Sachs affair, telephone answering machine prank that he and Jonathan Ross did, and that's what ultimately got Russell fired from BBC to Radio 2. Now, Andrew Sachs's granddaughter, who was the subject of these phone calls, Georgina, has spoken to the Daily Mail online. Now, she said at the time, certainly the relationship was consensual. She got his number through a friend. She indeed wanted to meet him. She was, ready for a little wild adventure, and that was just fine. So it was consensual at the time. Now, after they split up and all of this, it was something like 6 months later that Russell Brand and Jonathan Ross did this phone prank episode. Now, here's the thing about that. So they phone up Andrew Sachs, who's the grandfather of Georgina, and Russell's talking about his sexual relationship with the guy's granddaughter and going on and singing a dirty song, and him and Jonathan Ross made more than one phone call. I think there was 2, possibly 3. Now, while this was going on, the producer, Russell's producer of the radio show, was right there. This was actually pre-recorded, and it was deemed acceptable by the producer and the other powers that be at BBC Radio to actually air it. So who's at fault here? Is Russell and, just a horrible person? What about the people around him? What about the executives? What about the producers, people that made the decisions about content? They allowed it to go on. They didn't see any problem with it. Well, now getting back to what Georgina has to say. She's come out and she said, yeah, it was consensual. She wanted to do it at the time. Nothing bad about that. Of course, there was after they did this radio stint thing, it was distressing to her. It was, hard to deal with. All of that out in the open. It was embarrassing and humiliating. But she said Russell did step up. He contacted her. He paid for counseling or whatever it was that she needed to sort herself out over this. He apologized profusely. She is satisfied with what he did to remedy the situation. She's satisfied. She forgives him. She holds no rancor towards him. However, she has a lot to say about Jonathan Ross. I mean, think about it. He was older, presumably wiser. Again, BBC talent, where Russell Brand was fired from his radio show. Jonathan Ross, obviously the more important talent of the BBC, was only suspended, quite a light suspension, only 3 months from his TV show. I don't know if that was suspended with pay or not, but keep in mind, at the time when Jonathan Ross was with the BBC, not only was he getting paid a large amount of money for his late night talk show, he was also getting 1% of the BBC license fee revenue. That's a lot. That's public money that the public has to pay their license fee to the BBC. He was getting 1% of that as royalties for being, the BBC's big talent. So yeah, Georgina has a problem with the fact that, here we go now. Russell, his career is in free fall. Personally, I think he's going to be okay. But it's just exploding all around him. And Jonathan Ross, really nothing happened. A short 3-month suspension from his show, and he was back on. When he returned to Jonathan Ross at Night, I think it was called at the time, on the BBC, the first guest to welcome him back was liberal lovey Stephen Fry. And the way Stephen said it, the exact quote, I'm sure you can find this online. He says, well, I'm more than happy to be here to welcome you off the naughty step. This is the way that the BBC infantilized and diminished what Jonathan Ross had actually done. Welcome you off the naughty step, like he was a 3-year-old that kicked his sister. It was just ridiculous. But this is also the kind of culture in Britain anyway, too. The public is very infantilized. But, they'd call this silly behavior. No, it's hurtful, damaging behavior. It's nothing silly about it. But this is the way that they talk about things. But anyway, so yeah, Georgina's a little upset. She's like, nothing really happened to Jonathan Ross. He's never, I imagine when it happened, he was told by his legal counsel, say nothing. And he didn't. He never said a word. But now we know he's never apologized to Georgina, not so much as, gee, I'm sorry for the hurt it caused you, nothing. And she's feeling a little bit of retribution towards Jonathan Ross. So the question here today is, are people going to start now questioning Jonathan Ross's role in this? And as we know, Russell Brand was a regular on his show. They did a lot of events and other shows together. Is there more there? Are they going to start coming after Jonathan Ross? That's something we have to watch for. We got to look and, is Jonathan Ross going to make a statement now to counter what Georgina has said, or to apologize after the fact now that she has spoken out? We'll have to wait and see. I'd love to know what you think about all of this. Leave me a comment, like and subscribe if you'd like to, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.